if you'd like to put where you're coming in from in the chat, we'll be starting in literally a minute. Okay, sorry. Welcome everybody. I'm your host. My name is Sydney Lockhart. Um, and welcome to the second whole you ser of our whole you series. Today we're going to be talking about movement. Last week we talked about nutrition, and if you missed out on last week's presentation, you can get the slides through you registering for the event. But anyway, today we're going to talk about movement. If you are coming back to us, then hello again. If you are new, then welcome. I'd like to introduce Dr. Andrea Lee, who is going to be our presenter. She's the co-founder of Enrich Health, which is a maternity wellness center. She has over 20 years of clinical experience, including work with underserved populations in Chicago. She has championed midwifery care and natural approaches to maternal health and has extensive training in integrative medicine with a focus on caring for the whole person, mind, body, and spirit, which is what we're all about for this series. And I'm going to take it to Dr. Lee to give more information about herself and all her incredible work while I set up our presentation.
Thanks, Sydney, and thanks, Marie, for hosting this series. Um, I should change it to now it's almost 30 years, but for many, many years, most of my time has been in Chicago, and I'm currently in Chicago, but my new center is in Enrich Health is in Connecticut. It's in Hamden, and it's a maternity care model where our whole approach is truly integrative to really look at the person as a whole person, moving beyond just prescribing and doing interventions, but looking at exactly what we're talking about, like how we can live a healthier life, leading to healthier bodies, minds, and spirits. And I have done a lot of training in integrative, which really is just, again, looking at the whole person, moving beyond kind of our Western view of medicine and looking at more Eastern approaches, acupuncture, Ayurvedic medicine, looking at herbs, supplements, movement, what we'll be talking about today, nutrition, which we talked about last time, and then mindfulness. So what, you can go into the next slide, Cindy. What we're going to cover today is a little bit about, why it matters, and in a shift in how we actually look at exercise to more movement, because all movements count. As humans, we need to move. It's part of being human, and it's really healthy for us. And so we're going to look to how it impacts our health, especially in pregnancy. And then the different, in medicine, you're going to hear people talk about the different types of movements, and we break it down. So I'm going to do a little of that as well. And then again, a focus on pregnancy and what's safe and why it's so beneficial. And then a few things that you can go home with. So next slide. The first question for all of you, you can go on to the next slide, is we want your input, so you can log into Menti. Do you have that? You're going to put that in the chat, Sydney?
Yeah, give me 1 second. So
Great.
the way that it works is we're going to create a word cloud. So if you go to menti.com and you use the code here, which I'm going to type out right here.
It's very tiny.
Yeah, there you go. If you put in that code, it'll give you the option of adding a few words, I think 3 words of how does movement make you feel? So put whatever there, and
Yep.
then we can all participate and make our own little word cloud.
So we'll give you a little bit of time, not too much, but to throw in some words, and it just will pop up on the screen. So it's kind of fun. But when you think of movement, whatever movement looks like to you, how do you feel? Oh, I'll put the link in. It's just menti.com, right?
Sorry, yes.
Menti.com. Hmm. So once you get to menti.com, put in that code because we'll use this a few times through the talk. So on menti.com, it's going to ask you for a code and go up, scroll up above in the chat, and it's the numbers right there, and I can list it again. And once you guys start entering it, we should be able to see it,
The cool.
right? We're
There
really,
we
there we
go.
go. Oh, I love it. I get very excited by technology. It's okay. So we're seeing energized, tired, happy, powerful, strong, slightly drained, a bit good, sometimes light, accomplished, relaxed. These
And
are,
when people have more of the same input, some of those big words get bigger. So if
yes,
multiple people or a lot more people added energized or strong, then they'll
yeah.
appear more often
Which is interesting because we feel
and bigger.
energized and tired, right? Like, so it can feel good and not so good. Okay, that's great and accomplished. I love that. So, oh, this is fantastic and empowered. That's what,
Alive. Yeah, I love
oh,
alive as an
yeah.
answer.
We're all about free. This is great. See, this is going to get us all excited. We're all going to leave exercising or moving. Okay, so why don't we go on to the next slide, Sydney? That's
Yes.
very fun. So these were words that, for me, like I feel good. It makes me happy. It makes me feel like I'm staying healthy. I sleep better. My gut is more regular, which we talked about last time. Like that's one of the best ways to treat constipation is move, move, move. Helps me get up and down out of my chair off the ground. And then in pregnancy, people often, when they're exercising, do feel better. It may be hard to jump in and do it, but once you're doing it, and then the end result feels good. Okay, next slide. So when we move, um, this is why it matters and why it is so beneficial to our body. So it's going to strengthen our muscles. It helps blood flow. We get lots of good hormones being released, like endorphins, that are kind of what people call like the runner's high, that you feel really good and you feel light and energized, and serotonin, which we call our happy hormone, and it decreases cortisol. And cortisol is our stress hormone, so we do need it. But when we're in a constant state of stress, which most of us are in, it helps to lower that. And if you have cortisol always floating around your body, you have more inflammation. It strengthens our bones. As we age, it's great to keep exercising. Like I said, it helps the gut move. It's great for mood, as you can see with the different hormones. And again, it decreases inflammation overall in our body. So it's powerful. It has an impact on every organ in our body. So long-term impacts, and there are multiple studies, and I'll go through a few of these, is we live longer. Lots of studies show we live longer simply by moving. This does not mean you need to get out and run. You just need to move. It decreases our chance for chronic diseases, which in Ayurvedic medicine, which is from India, they call these diseases of lifestyle. So diabetes, hypertension, obesity. So we decrease the risk of these when we exercise. And then it decreases the risk of cancers, and as it strengthens our bones, it can help to prevent osteoporosis. So if you look this next slide, this was from JAMA, which is one of our main journals in medicine. It decreases all of these cancers. So bone cancer, bladder, rectal, kidney, breast, liver, esophagus, gastric. So it is so impactful when we move. And you can link it all the way back to how it's impacting our body. So this is, again, you're going to get the slides. This is not to get into the nitty-gritty of studies, bigger picture for all of you. And these are studies in pregnant women. So if we look at antidepressants that practically everybody's been on, if we raise our hand, a whole bunch of us would say, yes, we've been on them or on them. When you look at the effectiveness of antidepressants, and with time it gets a little bit less, it's around 50%, okay? People prescribed antidepressants, typically only half will continue taking them. Well, if you look at exercise, there are multiple studies, and this looked at many articles and synthesized the data. There's this, they say significant, they don't give the percentage, the next slide shows that, but a decrease in depression from people who exercise and in pregnancy. So with the next slide, you see that this one particular study showed from walking. Again, this is, I'm not talking when people think exercise at the gym running. This was walking 30 minutes a day, 35 minutes a day. You had almost a 50% reduction in depression. So when over the years, you can go on to the next slide, Sydney, I would say the most common problem that people present with, or it's part of their history, is depression and anxiety, especially anxiety. And I think it's worsening in our world currently for many, many reasons. When we look at exercise, when we're exercising, our heart rate goes up, we sweat, we breathe faster. If you look at a woman who's anxious, or a man, but we're only talking about women, when women are anxious, your heart rate goes up, you're sweating, and you breathe faster. So the symptoms are exactly the same. So by exercising, it helps us to respond differently to those symptoms because we experience them when we exercise. And newer treatments for anxiety actually treat the physical symptoms. They lower heart rate and it actually improves anxiety. So exercise can do the same thing. And exercise can be a distraction when we're really stressed because it's a time to just kind of absorb in the activity we're doing. And it's also a way to feel empowered and to feel, like people said, strong, and to feel, accomplished. So this was a quote that I think says it all about exercise. A vigorous 5-mile walk will do more good for an unhappy but otherwise healthy adult than all the medicine and psychology in the world. So here's another cloud wordle we're going to do. I want people to tell me when they think of movement, what comes to mind? What type of movement? And you can, again, you should be on Menti. And yeah, they don't have to log in the number again, do they, Sydney? Okay. So you're set to throw
They
words out.
shouldn't have
Wait.
to. It should be
Okay.
restart. Yep. There we go.
Okay. Walking is one of the best. Yes. Dancing, my favorite. Stretching, Pilates, the Peloton. Yeah. Release, great. Yeah. Weights. This is great. Yoga, Tai Chi. I like that. Hiking. Yeah. Weightlifting.
Sex is very funny.
Hey, nothing to laugh about.
They put LOL. It's not me.
Exactly. It's exercise. Um, and sometimes we have to schedule that in too.
And somebody put something in chat too. They put laughing,
Laughing.
and I
Yes.
love that.
Super therapeutic. Okay, so we'll go on to the next one. Zumba. I love Zumba too. So
Second.
these are, again, shifting how we think about movement. These are all types of movements, right? And they count. People 100 years ago were not out in the streets running around, right? It was their daily activities that kept them healthy, cleaning, cooking, standing while you're doing dishes, carrying in groceries, going up and down your stairs if you're getting kids in and out of, into bed, out of bed, walking the dog, and dancing. And then, of course, all the other types of extra movement that we consider more kind of traditional exercise they all count. But don't take this for granted if you feel like you're up and down all day long. That is movement and it's important. So when we break up movement, and this is again, these are now the terms we use to help from a medical perspective. So 4 ways we look at really exercise or movement. So endurance, strength, and flexibility and balance. And I'm going to get more into these. So endurance, with the next slide, is um, anything that raises our heartbeat 50% over the maximum. So walking, you could be really casually walking and not raise your heart rate, but rigorous walking would do it. Dancing, swimming, trampling, jumping jacks, biking, running. Some of these we can do, and we'll talk about that in pregnancy, and some, maybe a little trickier. So that's endurance. Now, when we look at strength, that's the weight training that people talked, mentioned in exercise. So this is where we're making our muscles work against a weight or a force. So the weight could be our own body. That's why push-ups count. That's why squats count. Plank, like Pilates, is a great type of strength training that uses a lot of times your body as well. And then you can use the resistance bands, which you'll see in a lot of videos. So you're using resistance again with this band, but not using weights. So then the next one is flexibility. And this is again, it's stretching really to help with our muscles and joints to become more flexible, like more malleable and able to move more easily. So the static stretch is where you stay in one stretch, and this is a lot of yoga. The dynamic stretch is like slower, but it's the active movement. So examples, again, yoga and Pilates or work with flexibility. Lunges, just doing shoulder rolls help with flexibility, or the arm circles where you're doing your arms, and you'll start to feel like the weight of your arms too. So that's a little bit of resistance. Then the last one is balance. So this is just really helping us maintain stability, and it really works to keep the cerebellum, which is at the back of our head, which is the part of our brain which is with balance, which is super important as we age. So yoga poses, again, Tai Chi, this heel toe walking is great with balance. And then just standing on one leg, this is a great yoga pose. It's really good to practice. So this busy slide, you can read it later, but how much do we need to do? The They looked at, this was from Harvard Health, handful of studies that looked at just being sedentary to getting up and moving around. And in this one study, they showed that if you sat for an average of 3 hours, which seems like a lot, but most people sit longer than that, you decreased your chance of dying from cardiovascular disease by a third. So it's important to get up and move. And then the next one showed that just doing even light activity instead of sitting for 30 minutes every day lowered your chance of dying by 17%. So this is just to show you that we need to move even around our house. And the Fitbits are a big thing now, just getting people getting up and doing steps. So the next slide. So when you ask a doctor or a midwife or a nurse practitioner, what's the recommendation? And you ask most colleges for the moderate intensity exercise, which is like kind of a brisk walk, biking, gardening counts. If you're moving around, getting your heart rate up, housework, it's 30 minutes, 5 days a week. If you are like swimming laps, running, playing basketball, or like out there dancing, then it's 75 minutes across the week. For the weights or like doing push-ups, planks, whatever, you do that 2 to 3 times a week. So you could just do it, you could do it Sunday and Wednesday. And this would be some like if you did weights, like, the curls is one, you would do 10 of those. You could do squats, plank, curls, 8 to 10, and you would repeat it 2, 3, 4, up to 6 times, but that's pretty intense. And then balance and stretching, incorporate it into your exercise. Stretch anytime. If you go for a walk, just stretch because it really helps your joints and the muscles. And then, while you're brushing your teeth, stand on, one leg. Have a countertop so you can grab it, especially when you're pregnant. But do that, or do the heel walking, toe walking. So this was, if any of you have read Atomic Habits, I was sharing this with Cindy. It's a super interesting book. It's about how do we create habits. I would say exercise and eating differently are two of the hardest habits to create. And again, a little sciencey here. If you do anything for 90 days, typically you have then formed a habit. But in this book, it says so much of it is our inner dialogue. So when we have this inner dialogue going that many times is not at the forefront, but it's telling us, how to think even about ourselves. And it could be like, oh, I can't run, that's too hard, I don't want to try. And in this book it said you have to fully embrace anything that you even want to try and own it by making a statement like, I am a runner, I am a dancer, I am a guitar player, I'm a meditator. Even if you do it a little bit, you're starting to change that dialogue, which actually impacts your actions. So another quote, movement is the song of the body. Like I said, we are meant to move. And once we get into that rhythm, I think it becomes easier to make it part of our everyday life. So there are movements that are forms of meditation, and somebody had mentioned Tai Chi. So it's yoga, Qigong, and Tai Chi. And yoga is ancient, and it combines the physical movement with breath control and meditation. It really was more of a spiritual practice. Many people do it for exercise now, which is fine. Qigong is also an ancient Chinese healing modality. People use this and still to this day to heal people through, again, meditation, the breathing, and the movement. And Tai Chi is a form of martial art that's also now an exercise, also an ancient Chinese practice that, again, moves, you can see movement, breath. This has the attention and imagery as well. So when we look at yoga, there's so many studies with pregnancy. It's incredible. Like it helps with sleep, mood. This NK cells, those are natural killer cells that causes inflammation. It decreases that. So decreases inflammation. And then it makes people less anxious towards childbirth, like the actual birth. And so it improves the whole experience. And then next one is Qigong. I'm going to demonstrate, and you are all welcome to get up and do this, but this is an ancient form of exercise. I practice Qigong. I have now for a year. You don't feel it in that moment, but the impacts, like it's very calming and it actually helps with like your balance and flexibility can impact your blood pressure and boost your immune system and helps with mood. Again, I'm big into things helping with mood. So a few, let's see if you can see me. You can see me, right? You are welcome all to stand up. We'll do a quick right in the middle of the talk if you want movement. And this is for pregnancy. And we're going to go over everything with pregnancy, like what's okay and what's not, because it's going to surprise you. So this is a very common one, and this is to really start to get your body moving and energizing you. It's just this twist, and you have your knees slightly bent, and you just kind of move your upper body with this twist. Okay. And this helps with helps with your back, keeping it flexible, especially with pregnancy and get your energy moving. So you could do this for a minute in the morning and you're going to feel energized. Okay. And then you just kind of slowly let it out. And typically, what I do is I kind of stop in between. And now, this is one, again, to really open up and kind of open up to the energy, to the universe, and then to really work with your back. So you're going to lift your hands up and you're going to do almost a back bend. And then you're going to come forward and you're going to curl like this. And then just kind of rotate a little to the left and to the right. And each time you're doing this, you're kind of breathing in and breathing out. And again, you can feel it in your back. I love this. It helps with my tight back. We'll do one more. And then down again. And just like twist along your spine and just feel it loosening up. And then you come back up. And then this last one is to release all like you don't want inside of you, all that negative energy, maybe sadness, maybe frustration. And you're just going to take your arms up and you're just going to go. And just think of what you're releasing. And one more time. Okay. Hopefully I'll feel a little energized and calmer. But there's hundreds of Qigong exercises. I YouTube it. I have a few I like. And they're really good for pregnancy as well. So the
I,
next one,
I
yeah.
just wanted to point out, I'm very much on, TikTok and stuff like that. If anybody else in chat is also on the internet chronically, um, it has been very much people are talking about being in a very Chinese part of their lives. And though a lot of those movements and like releasing a lot of like what's stored in your lymph nodes and everything like that has been very much communicated a lot recently. It's very much like a trend. So I feel like this is very on trend for a lot of other people too. So it would be, I think, very easy to find some of these movements
Oh,
more
yes.
actively available on the internet if you guys are curious and more interested in learning more of these practices.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a form of medicine. I mean, people are treated from ailments with Qigong. It's quite fascinating. And then Tai Chi, like I said, it is a martial art, and it's become an exercise. And again, it's the mind body, right? It's the breathing, the meditation, the movement, because we are connected. So it also helps with fighting infection, improving our mood, great for blood sugar control, and then stress release. So now on to pregnancy. Um, I want you to put in the chat and you can just, do 1 through 6. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, or yes, 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 yes. But is this true or is it false?
I guess we can just
And the
go
ones below
maybe one
are
by
they
one.
okay or are they not okay when you're pregnant? So
Right.
running okay or no?
You
Is
can,
soccer okay or no? Is ice skating okay or no?
and I would also like to say to Karen who just put in the chat, obviously TikTok is not the best space to get all of your factual info, but if you want to be exposed to new practices of these techniques or
Lots of
just
videos.
general exercises like this, then it can be a good space right now while everybody is talking about it. So for the first one, factor myth, exercise is dangerous.
Yeah. Let me know that one.
We're getting a lot
Myth.
of myths.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
No,
All
no, yes.
right.
Soccer and ice
Lifting
skating if a regular player. I like it.
lifting weights, factor myth. Is it okay to do in pregnancy? I'm seeing no's. A couple of people are saying fact, it's okay. Some people are saying just in moderation.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so you're all knowledgeable. So we'll go on to the next slide. So exercise is great in pregnancy. That's this whole talk, basically. So we absolutely need to continue exercising. And I often tell people you first of all, you know your body's best. There really aren't many things you can't do when you're pregnant, except when your body physically, like riding a bike when you're 8 months pregnant, is going to be really challenging with a belly. Some people maybe not. If I've known ice skaters, they will continue to ice skate. When I get on the ice, no. Like if there's an activity that you are very likely to fall or you're not skilled at and could get injured, then don't do that when you're pregnant, or maybe not when you're not pregnant either. But pretty much you can do any type of exercise. The big thing that we say is as you move along in pregnancy, be laying flat on your back, your body's going to tell you, oh, I got to move because you're just compressing the vessels. That we don't have you do. So if you're trying to do sit-ups when you're 8 months pregnant, I wouldn't recommend it. Um, so pretty much, and you absolutely can do weights. It's again, you got to trust your body and know what you're capable of. Are you gonna be doing big bench presses that you've never done before? Maybe not. So what happens in pregnancy is the body does change, and we have to be aware of that. The biggest is the shift in gravity. As the belly gets bigger, we're shifting the gravity more forward. So it can cause pressure on your back and hips and pelvis, and sometimes that can cause discomfort, especially if we aren't moving a lot and we're not in balance. It can cause more pain. Ligaments relax, and that makes sense, right? As we get ready to deliver a baby, and this makes our joints, ligaments more relaxed. And then the pelvic floor is impacted because that's where the uterus is sitting. Um, Pregnant women often get more fatigued for many reasons, and sometimes dizzy too because of blood volume changes. But fatigue, sometimes due to sleep disruption, you just need to be more conscious when you're exercising because sometimes when we're foggy and we're tired, we may be clumsier. We may not just be as in tune to our bodies. Um, so how does exercise help in pregnancy? There's many ways it helps. Um, it improves circulation. It just, as you can intuitively sense when we're exercising, our heart rate goes up. Yeah, blood pressure, I mean, blood is being pumped through our body faster rate. So it just improves the circulation. It can help to actually decrease swelling. It absolutely can help to decrease discomforts by improving blood flow, as well as all the movement of the muscles and joints and all of that. It does support the pelvic floor, which is great for getting ready for delivery as well. And it's a great way to help with back, hip, and pelvic pain. Even if you think of these Qigong movements, they really do help with back pain. And there's lots of different stretching exercises to do for your back. Like we said before, it helps with sleep and digestion and helps with mood. So, and it's a great way to get ready for delivery, which is a workout. And postpartum is a workout with the new baby. So there's lots of data out there that people who exercise have less of a risk of preeclampsia, gestational hypertension and diabetes, and excessive weight gain, fewer delivery complications, and less, again, impacting mood, postpartum depression, and newborn complications. It does not, in a healthy pregnant woman, it is not going to increase your risk of stillbirth or affect the birth weight of the baby. Next slide. This is for you to have. Very busy slide, but it's our college as an obstetrician overview of the changes that you can experience. The right side is what I wanted you to see in your body, and then the left is fun. It's with the baby. So that you will have with the slides. So we're going to focus on a few key areas in pregnancy, so the pelvic floor and the core and posture. So the pelvic floor is like a floor at the base of us that supports the bladder, the uterus, and the bowel. And the changes of pregnancy, meaning the weight and the hormones, can put a strain on this pelvic floor and has an impact on it. And we need this pelvic floor to be nice and strong because it supports our bladder and bowel function. And it's actually the base of our core. So our core is here. And so it helps with stability and it supports the pregnancy and labor and delivery. So when it's strong and is flexible, we have less urinary leaking. It's great for support of keeping uterus up in the abdomen, and it helps to prepare for pushing. So these are some exercises. As you can see, here's a pregnant woman on the back, but doing pelvic tilts. Kegels, everybody hears of, that's like contracting the muscles. Most of the time, it's like you hold your urine in and you can sense what muscles you're contracting. One of the best is actually squats. Squats engage lots of muscles, but really engage the pelvic floor and strengthen it. And there's good data on this too for down the road preventing incontinence or urinary loss. And then there's lots of yoga poses. Cat cow, is, arching your back and then flexing it. And then the boat is very challenging, which you can do when you're pregnant, but it's very challenging where you got you're like a V, your hands down, but that's great for the pelvic floor. You're just engaging it. So then onto the core. This is basically the top is the diaphragm, the bottom is the pelvis, and then you have all those muscles of your abdomen, basically. So your back muscles, all of your abdominal muscles, there's lots of them going different ways. And then your buttocks is also supporting your core. And this is really important to have a strong core because it also helps you feel better and decreases some of the painful symptoms of pregnancy. So for core strengthening on the next slide, or well, why it matters, which we've talked about, supports the spine and posture and helps with back pain. It improves balance when we've got good core strength. It improves balance and posture. And then again, it's important for core strength too to help with labor and pushing. So standing core activation, like what the woman is doing, standing, engaging your core. You can do, upper body movements. All of this engages your core. You can lay on your side and do side leg lifts. Plank, when you're laying down, you can be on your elbows and you're holding up your abdomen. That's a great way to strengthen your core. Pelvic tilts again. And then the yoga pose, I don't know how many of you do yoga, but it's where again, you're on your hands and knees and you lift up the opposite hand to the opposite leg. This is great for core. So big part of our body impacted in pregnancy is back, hips, and pelvis. And this again is a lot due to hormones, loosening the joints and ligaments, our growing belly, and then our muscles work hard to support all of this weight. And then we have the shift in gravity. So next slide. So how we can help? Walking is great. Lots of people mentioned walking. Walking is really great for your entire body, but for your back and hips as well. Stretching, great. Prenatal yoga. There are lots of, and I think, with Sydney mentioning TikTok, all the different social media sites, you can get access to apps to videos everywhere. So it's kind of what is your preference. Hip circles, they do hip circles in Qigong, and you're literally just kind of rotating your hip, which is great for back and the pelvis. And then the cat cow again. This will strengthen all of your muscles and the supporting muscles of the back and the hips, and it's going to help you be more flexible. And any type of movement is going to help with circulation. Okay, so next slide. So posture, really challenging even when we're not pregnant, but more challenging with this shift in our center of gravity. We start to have a curve in our back. Sometimes we kind of hunch forward carrying with this belly in front of us, and then this can create pain when we're out of balance. So this is the next slide, shows a picture. I'm jumping ahead with slides. So this helps. Exercise will help. We want to strengthen the core and the back, opening up our shoulders. We want to have body awareness, and engaging our core and then not locking our knees. So this next picture shows what it kind of looks like with the correct and then incorrect posture. And this is challenging. Okay, next slide. So here we go. Another word. And see, we're Sydney and I got kind of excited about these word clouds. So the next one is, what do you find challenging to incorporate movement into your day after this talk as well? What are your challenges? Time. Yep. Time. Gonna get bigger.
A lot of people are saying
Yes.
time.
Energy.
Weather is
Yeah.
huge, especially with how cold it is. I don't want to do anything outside with the weather. I completely agree.
Not knowing what to do. Yep. Totally makes sense. And having a big belly.
Accessibility,
Yep.
ensuring not to harm baby.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
That worry being
Time is a big
huge.
one. Yeah. And motivation. Yep. And having the energy.
Oof,
Yeah.
motivation,
Cost. Yep.
cost. I think that that's what's really important about using things like YouTube and things like that. There are so many the
Free. Yeah.
free
Videos.
ways of just engaging in the small ways, not
Right.
necessarily having to go to a class or things like that. That's one great thing about
Yeah.
the internet is having availability
Yep.
of lots of different people's views on exercise and how
And then nausea. So go on to the next
nausea.
slide. So just to address, like, you will not harm your baby. The beauty of your body is it protects the baby even before it protects you. And it would take a lot to harm the baby, like probably really bad trauma to the belly. And a lot of times baby's still protected. Um, So time, that was the biggest one. And that's what I put on the first challenge is everybody will say time, especially working, whether outside the house, inside the house, both. Um, it, yes, taking care of kids, getting meals ready. It's really challenging. And that's why I want to shift how we look at movement, right? Like, and we'll talk about that. And then motivation. And that's this idea too of how do we create habits? Like it's much more relaxing just to sit or to eat than to get up and move. So it's really kind of doing very small things to start. And we need a safe space. Like if you can't go outside, then we have to figure out how to do the movements inside or to get to places where it's safe to be. And then energy is huge, especially I think as a mother, and then as a pregnant woman, and then a pregnant mother. And then if we're experiencing pain or like somebody said, nausea, you don't want to do anything when you're nauseous. So next slide. So time, you know, like small bits of time count, and we're seeing more and more the burst of energy hit, the high intensity interval training, like doing just few seconds or minutes of something can be more powerful than doing like a 30-minute run. Um, so doing that, saying, okay, like, and I think partnering up, and we'll talk about that with motivation to do that walk around the block, go up and down your stairs, maybe I'm going to go upstairs, do this, then come back down and do that 5 times. Stretching, like if you're in the kitchen cooking, like do some stretches. I know people will do 10 squats, like they'll do food prep and then they'll do 10 squats and then they'll saute it and then they'll do 10 more squats. I do love to dance, and so I turn on music that just I can't help but dance while I'm in the kitchen cooking, and it'll get your heart rate up. Jumping jacks, you could do that. Sometimes as your belly gets bigger, that's challenging because you're jiggling your baby, and it feels a little uncomfortable. I have to tell you, when I was pregnant with my third and last, I love taking the classes, and I took a belly dancing class, and I took it before I was pregnant, and then was doing it when I was pregnant, but I was first trimester, and it was so much jiggling. And again, I just listened to my body. It just felt a little strange, and so I stopped doing my belly dancing class. So again, just listen to your body. Um, throw on a YouTube. I do when I do Qigong, I'll do 10 minutes. I'll just I look up YouTube Qigong. I have a few of my favorite people, and I literally do 10 minutes. And then park your car far away. These are simple things. Use the stairs instead of the elevator. And then motivation. So when we're motivated, we've got to it's I think this is probably the biggest challenge. Sometimes we just have to see what is stopping us. And it could just be I'm exhausted. Like I don't have time in my day just to understand what's stopping us from getting up and doing something. And it could just be you don't have energy. I think finding something you love makes a world of difference. That's why sports are great. If I have so many women, I'll ask what they played. You've got to see if this is appropriate for you when you're pregnant, but like who played a sport in high school. And I'm like, there's so many adult leagues. Find that adult league, and then you can play your sport again. And it's so fun because you're with a team. And then gardening, if you like that, that's a sport. I mean, that's an exercise. Um, I think partnering up with a friend is um, the best way to be accountable to more than just you. And then people do with their work challenges. And then again, there are all sorts of apps. People do the steps where it's a challenge for themselves. So they're watching their steps on their phone. Um, but yes, first see what is it that I just can't get over to get exercising. And then the next slide, I kind of clumped together the pain, safe space, energy. So I tell people small little steps, one little thing, you know, let's say it's getting up from your couch when you've been sitting for 30 minutes and say, I'm going to walk to the back of my house. I'm going to just walk up the stairs, and then just recognize what you are doing right. And then the last is stretching is pretty important and is also a form of movement. So just notice, like in your chair, like, oh, I'm going to stretch my back, or lean forward to tie your shoes and then move back and forth. So just kind of be creative with the ways you see movement and that you can incorporate it into your day. So this next another word cloud is think right now what you're doing right, like what way you are moving right now. And it could be that you're out running, but anything. Just after hearing this talk, what are you doing right? Great. Oh, that's great, Rumi. Third floor. Get your exercise every day. Dancing when cooking. Yes, trying. I love it.
Right.
Even thinking it. Like it's, changing that dialogue inside of us. Walking on the treadmill, great. Taking the steps, yeah. Steps are great. You forget that.
Not letting the scale deter.
Yes.
Feel like
Sitting with the
I'm
resistance
not
band.
pregnant, but I feel like during pregnancy is the time where the scale should matter the least. I feel like
Yeah.
as long as baby's healthy and you're
Yep.
healthy, that's I feel like the most important thing.
Still performing, still getting up every day and getting out of your bed and walking to the kitchen. Great. Okay.
Walking on the
That,
treadmill was in chat,
yeah.
which is great.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. We got, I think, two more slides. Um, so movement is exercise. I think I've said that multiple times. Recognize your successes, little burst, whatever it may be. And we need movement. Listen to your body, you know, and recognize, you know, how it feels when you've moved and enjoy that. So this is a busy slide that's for you to take home later, but it's just how regular exercise supports us. We have a healthier pregnancy, easier labor and delivery, and actually better postpartum recovery, good mental health, lower risk of different complications. Our body feels better, helps with swelling, it gives us energy. So listen to your body, move, know your body wants to move in any way you see fit for you. Um, and it can be just simple stretches and or standing up in the kitchen cooking. So last one is what's one thing you want to do after this talk uh, differently or to incorporate as you move through this week or even tomorrow. Yeah. Yes. I love that. Recognize all the good.
Ooh, stop waiting to move. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Learn
Walk.
about Tai Chi, yes.
Yeah. Even
Using the
flat, yeah, you
YMCA.
can, yeah, get there.
There are some resources out there. Don't feel like you need to
Yeah,
pay $100 a month at some fancy gym in order to get
especially
movement.
the
And
yeah,
that's what's key about this.
especially the Y. They have lots of great
Hmm.
packages and discounts and support. Yeah, this
There
is
are things you
great.
can do. Yes.
Okay. Well, few resources. Again, it's a lot just free stuff on the internet. Um, and lots of hospitals have classes. I'm in Chicago. There's lots of classes at the different hospitals. Um, and fitness centers too. A lot of them will give. Oh, I like incorporate Qigong. Yes, yes, Kelsey. I'm a big fan.
Yes.
Um, but thank you so much. If you take one thing home today, then I'm satisfied. That's one little tidbit. But we'll
And
open
thank you
to
to
any
Rumi
other.
for pointing out that if you have insurance, some insurance covers membership
Yes,
at the YMCA.
yes, yes. And there are,
Are
yeah.
there questions that anybody wants to throw in the chat while we have Dr. Lee? And I'll wait a few minutes, but um yeah, like I just think that there are so many. I live in Atlanta and there is there is a yoga place that I go to that's $15 a session, and it's nearby in my community. So like, don't feel like if you want to do yoga, you have to go to a take a class and have a subscription and all this other stuff. So there are ways in community-based ways that you can connect and also get exercise in a way that makes you feel very supported. Um, can you run your whole pregnancy? Thank you, Dr. Lee, for responding to that. Does
Oh, yeah.
anybody
I've
else
had
have
people
any?
run like up to the point that they're practically delivering. I mean, they're runners. They've
Right.
about killed me. Um,
We have a bunch of wonderful thank yous in
yeah,
the
thank
chat, but I
you.
don't see any other questions. Oh, somebody asked about belly
Yeah,
binders.
belly binders, it's all like you absolutely can use the belly binder supports the belly. Some people feel like it really helps, just feel like they're not having to carry their own belly. And others doesn't make a big difference, but absolutely, doctors will give you prescriptions for belly binders. And there's also, if you get varicosities or heaviness in your labia, there's also binders that there's support to help with that too. Because sometimes that makes it hard. Again, it's that pain that stops us from moving.
That also reminds me that I'm sure that there's some HSA and FSA support, different things through those programs where you could find some other resources or possibly belly binders and things like that that could help.
Yeah. So I see
Forget
somebody's
about
a
those funds.
dancer, which I love, Rumi. You're walking upstairs and you're dancing. That's fantastic. You keep performing. You feel good. You listen to your body. Like you're fine performing. You'll have to tell us where. And prenatal yoga a lot of times is just they're aware of like not laying flat in the back, not doing the hot yoga where the temperature can get so high that your body just with the changes of pregnancy, it's too much. Um, so prenatal yoga, it's been created to really be geared towards that pregnant women, I think, to invite them in to say, hey, this is totally safe. So, but you can take regular yoga. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, one more. When I get cramps, it keeps me from moving. Is that the reason why I get them?
No, a lot of times cramps, late cramps in pregnancy is actually more of a fluid shift where increasing your fluids can help. Stretching is the big thing, which Marie just put in there. Standing up and stretching out those cramps. And massage is fantastic if you have a partner who can massage, friends. Some people will use magnesium. It's a little bit different with magnesium's totally fine in pregnancy and absolutely try it because most of us don't have enough magnesium. We're actually low because the soil is depleted. Magnesium glycinate is probably the best because it has the least likelihood of causing diarrhea. But yes, those are all massage, stretching, and cramps. But no, definitely exercise and and increase your fluid because sometimes that'll help too. Sometimes I have
Mhm.
low energy in the mornings, anything which helps. So what I recommend when we have low energy in the morning is when you're in your bed, do a few like simple stretches. Like sometimes like doing that either the child pose for yoga. Sometimes just kind of stretch you out a little bit, holding your knees to your chest, depending on how far along you are in your pregnancy. And then I would actually recommend Qigong. I would literally do this movement because it will energize you. Um, some of those Qigong exercises are all about energizing. It's like it's moving the energy through our body. That's what I
I
would
will also say
recommend.
that there's some, like in the same way that Qigong kind of energizes, certain meditations that activate the vagus nerve also help give you a boost of energy.
Yeah,
Um,
which we'll be doing
there's,
next session. We'll
yeah,
be talking about the vagus
um,
nerve. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I would definitely look into those as well. They can be very
yeah,
helpful as far as
yeah.
just there's been times like it's 3 p.m. and I'm like, well, I can't drink any caffeine or I'm gonna be up all night. But if you just sit down for meditation, you would think it would make you more tired. But if it activates the vagus nerve, it can really help just kind of re-energize the body.
Yeah. And like for the Qigong, you can also, I do Qigong for morning energy and I'll just do a few simple ones. And this arm circling too also energizes. So just do something super simple.
Hmm.
Okay. Well,
I think
thanks
those are all my
everyone.
questions.
Yeah.
A reminder that this is a series, as I said earlier. And so next week, like we just talked about, we will be talking more on meditation and stress relief. Um, we will, as long as you're registered for this event, you will get the slides for this week. Same time, same place for this meeting. So 7:30 next Thursday. That'll be the next part of the series. And then we have one more after that, which focuses more on community. So if you enjoyed this, hopefully you enjoyed this, share with your friends or your other pregnant friends or their partners, because this is also very important information for partners as well, to provide support for pregnant people. So, yes, please join us next week. Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to the next session.
Thank you.